You're listening to Cinema Red Pill. I'm your host, Sharon.
And I'm Timothy.
Yeah, thanks for listening in again. If you're an again listener, or thanks for listening for the first time. If you're the first time listener. For today, we're going to discuss a classic, semi-classic.
It is a
in
classic.
our eyes, it's a classic, but it's such a recent movie that it feels too soon to label it a classic. Because it was released in 2016.
2006.
2006.
Yes.
Sorry for that mistake. 2006, which is 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
10 years ago, but that's too soon. Most movies declared classics are like 30 or so, even more years.
Some movies are instant classics.
I don't believe in that stuff. I think it needs to age well. It needs to age like someone sees it in 30 years or so, and it's still a good film.
Yeah.
That's when you really are a classic. But also there's the whole impact, and we don't know if this movie has any impact on anyone, but there's some argument on that.
It has had impact. I will deliberate on that later.
Fine. But this movie is a top tier movie in my books.
It is.
It's called Children of Men. Children of Men is co-written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Alfonso Cuarón is a Mexican director. He directed... his first movie was Why Tu Mama Tambien.
He had done a few, but his first major
movie. I just have to put... Because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
You should watch it if you want to watch a good movie. And Gravity. Gravity is... Well, everybody knows Gravity. Gravity won 7 Oscars in 2014. He got for Best Director and, of course, Best Cinematographer. Can't live without pointing out the cinematographer, who's Emmanuel Lubezki. He's won several Oscars.
The master of light.
Yeah, he gets too much credit. It's becoming annoying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alfonso Cuarón also directed Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And he has another...
One of the best Harry Potter films in the whole franchise.
I liked it even before I grew to be this cinephile per se. Yeah. But yeah, and also Beautiful with a B-I-U.
No, that's Iñárritu.
No, it's Alfonso.
Iñárritu.
What did he do?
He was a director and writer.
Of?
Beautiful.
It's Alfonso. It's
Iñárritu. Yeah.
Mistake. I saw that wrong. Okay.
We just cut that out.
No, I won't. Okay, so it's a Children of Men is a science action thriller set in 2027 UK.
Yeah.
And it's a society which is like at the brink of collapsing after 18 years of human infertility. No one has had a child for 18 years.
Yeah.
And the UK government has put laws to drive immigrants to detain immigrants in a cage. And the lead character, Theo, played by Clive Owen, is on a mission to help one of the refugees escape this chaos.
I can't really remember when I last had any hope. And I certainly can't remember when anyone else did either. Because really, since women stopped being able to have babies, what's left to hope for?
The world was stunned today by the death of Diego Ricardo, the youngest person on the planet. The youngest person on Earth was 18 years, 4 months, 20 days, 16 hours and 8 minutes old.
The ultimate mystery. Why are women infertile? Some say it's genetic experiments, pollution. Why do you think we can't make babies anymore?
Doesn't matter. It's all over in 50 years. It's too late.
Move along! Move along!
So, it was also put in one of the best movies of the 21st century. Do you agree?
Definitely.
Actually, don't know if you do.
Definitely.
Okay. Huh?
Definitely, it's an assured top 10 of the 21st century so far.
So, now let's get into the good. I love this movie a lot. Like it goes into. I rarely get asked what are my top favorite movies, and I hate being asked that.
Yeah.
But when someone recently asked me my top 5, it didn't get in.
Yeah.
But on Twitter, actually, there was this hashtag top 7 movies.
Yeah.
It got in, so I will always remember it got into my top 5. I've not yet been asked to make my top 10, but it got into my top 7. So
Yeah.
it's one of my top tiers. I thought of it on the spot at that moment.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
Yes.
It's good. Yes. Let me leave you to start since you're you're cool.
Why are you putting me on the spot?
I always have to let you go first. So go first on your great. I'm so excited to talk about this movie. It's actually one of the things that made me happy that I'm doing this podcast, because you get to delve into something you like and even delve deeper than you already did.
Yeah.
I've watched it twice already. I watched it the third time yesterday. And also you notice something again, and you get so fascinated about the things you notice, and it just makes the movie even better.
Yeah.
So talking about it is a joy.
Yeah.
So go on.
Well, I think as far as the 21st century goes, there's this group of filmmakers. They're called the Three Amigos of cinema.
Okay? Say your Three Amigos, and I talk about the third amigo.
No. Let me first get into it. There's Guillermo del Toro, who is well known in the horror genre.
He has kind of lost his mojo. That's why I was going to go.
Yeah, but still has made some really great
compared
films.
to the other two amigos.
No, because obviously he's a bit more commercial, and what he aims to do isn't like, I don't think all of them are passion projects as much as say Iñárritu or Cuarón. But the Three Amigos are Del Toro, Cuarón, and Iñárritu.
Yes.
Iñárritu has won the last 2 Oscars for Best Director, and has made some really impressive movies along the way ever since Amores Perros, which was like his first major film, if not his first film. Then there's also Cuarón, who I think amongst all of them, probably he's the one who I think probably is most respected.
More than Iñárritu?
Yeah, Iñárritu is a festival guy, awards and all that, but as far as work that stands,
people blame Iñárritu for self-wankery.
But still, Iñárritu is a very good director.
Okay.
But those 3 guys, plus again the cinematographer, Emmanuel Lubezki, I feel those 4 guys have had quite an impact on cinema in the last decade or so. I'll go and say Children of Men is a very, very good film. As you've said, top tier. One of the best made in the 21st century.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll stop at that.
Yes. So, greatest thing I like about this movie. One of the issues I had with The Matrix, if you listen to the review, it uses words sometimes more than it should. Now, this movie uses visuals versus just narrative and exposition. There's not much exposition in this film. It uses its visuals so much. I explained the premise. Of course, it's about an apocalypse. I love apocalypse movies. They're like... I love I like seeing apocalypse movies, and its premise of infertility is so intriguing to me. That's exactly why I like the comic book Why the Last Man. It's a whole apocalypse thing, and there's just women, and also this, he puts it in the direction of women, like women can't give birth to kids. So that it just fascinates me. I just remember the first time I was watching it the whole time. So I was talking about the visuals. It uses visuals more than just narrative. Some bits are told by just the details of the visuals. One scene I would have to pick out the most is there's what's this guy's name? The guy who plays the weed guy.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Michael Caine is like his friend. He's a weed guy who's just laid back. He's a stoner. And he's Clive Owen's friend, and Clive Owen goes to visit him. And then there's this scene where they just show the pictures on the wall. Do you remember it? And then it actually tells a story. It tells the story of his story of how he was before all this happened, and in progression. Then it also what happened and how things progressed, and how what the world was like before, and how it has come to this. Then it gives you, it makes you think like, what would happen? I keep saying, like, in the world we live in now, many people don't like kids. They're like, I don't want to have kids. You were a kid once. Imagine there's no future. What do you think? Do you want to just be there and eventually die? The future actually gives you hope. So this is a world that's completely hopeless. There is no hope for the future, and that's a word people keep saying. There's hope for the future. You keep thinking of the next generation and raising the next generation if you're a person who wants to have kids. So it's so fascinating. But again, about the visuals, put so much details, and even the visuals put in the emotions also. So it makes the whole emotion, and it sets the tone of darkness, of a hopeless world.
Very gritty,
and while you're watching it, you also feel hopeless. Yeah, I'm a person who likes movies that bring the feels out of me, and that movie is so sad that you feel sad also while you're watching it. It's so fascinating. Yeah, first go on before I blabber on.
I don't know. What should I go on about now?
The religion. It has so much religious undertones.
Yeah. There's symbolism to it. Yeah, there's also that one scene where they're now finally escaping from the building, and they find, I think, these people who are chanting some very jihadist stuff.
Yes.
And this woman has given birth. And
Wait. Before you talk about the woman giving birth, can we set her up a bit?
Oh, okay.
Although I'm worried about people who have not watched the film.
Yeah.
This is really going to reveal something major, but I don't know how we would talk about it without revealing this.
Yeah.
But there's, like we talked about, there's immigrants who are being detained. The UK doesn't want the immigrants. I guess their world is, they want to set up their country.
They're the only functioning
and people
world.
keep running to them, and they don't want the immigrants. So, but there's this one immigrant who is pregnant. Who's pregnant. So that's the immigrant that Clive Owen's character needs to help to get away from all this. Yeah, so that's where the religious thing all comes in. Go on.
Now I feel there's that symbolism, as we said again with the Matrix recently. There's that whole sort of chosen one.
Yes.
And this is more of a person who's chosen from the lowest corridors of society.
It was like Joseph and Mary.
Yeah, and she's actually the only one who is supposed to, who's giving the world hope.
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel that was very good. And again, as I was saying, that scene where they were running out and they run past this whole crowd of jihadists who are all chanting this death to something, and they're carrying someone who's dead. Again, it's very symbolic when you see these people in the middle of this ruckus. There's so much chaos going on in the world. People are only focused on the death. Yet there's someone who's actually carrying hope, which in form of life of a young baby, walking through them, and you don't even notice. Yeah. So I feel it was.
There's that scene where
they stop in the building where they stop, and the soldiers
tell everybody to stop. Like the war.
Then immediately they get out, they begin shooting again.
And it was so good, and it was a long shot. It was a single shot. And everyone keeps going, and then there's even people who do the cross symbol. Oh God, that scene.
There's a lot of religious symbolism.
So much religious symbolism. Then there's this thing where everybody thinks the baby is a boy.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks the baby is a boy. Even the pregnant woman herself thinks the baby is a boy, but it's not.
It's
and
a girl.
She even makes a joke of being a virgin.
Yeah.
She makes a joke of being the virgin, which is like Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary.
Then a thing which I had not noticed before about it, one of the only things that I noticed this third viewing was his sandals. You know, they make him wear sandals, which is like a Jesus type of thing of those days.
Yeah, Joseph.
She gives birth in some barn of sorts. Oh, it has so many religious undertones, which are so cool. The single shots. You like single shots. These guys, people keep complaining that people make it seem like that those two amigos, Iñárritu and Cuarón, invented the single shot because they use them so much. Tell me more about that. You must know
because the film itself has this very documentary style look to it. It's basically like the cameraman is just following this guy through this area of conflict. It's like something you'd see on Al Jazeera of reporters running through a battlefield or something. It has that same look to it. So again, as I was saying earlier, why this movie is actually a classic is because some of the greater movies made, like Cuarón made Gravity, which used a lot of long takes.
Yes.
Batman was made to look like a long take.
Made to look like a long
Revenant itself, which to won his second consecutive Oscar, also is a lot of long takes. So I feel this movie also actually kind of shows their vision, the kind of filmmakers they are. They take a lot of pride in making things look real without cutting, without visual effects. Something just shot the way it is as it's happening, and that puts you in the middle of the action. It makes it look very real.
It makes it look so real. There's this scene where Clive Owen is caught by the guys, and then he has a long take in the battle scene, and they just keep moving the camera a bit and coming back to him. It was so good. It was really good. Then I liked the whole anti-immigration immigration thing,
It's-
which is
again another reason why movies become classics is because their themes ring true later on.
so true.
So now as we're talking about it recently, there's the whole Brexit issue and the anti-immigration laws. And again, this comes back into the film that was made in 2006.
Yes.
That sort of highlights immigration. It's so fun.
That's one of the things.
And
I think
the
will
UK
make
feeling
it an
like it's the
instant
only
classic.
functional society in the whole world. So we have a lot of power over who we let in, who we let out, what we do within here.
It
Yeah,
feels
it's-
like a real thing
yeah.
that Western countries would do if we came into such a situation. Which
It's
those
a bit of a
immigration
prophecy,
laws
actually.
are
It's a bit
already
of a
things
prophecy.
that are there, even when there's not such
Yeah.
big conflict, and people
Yeah.
come in because they have conflict in their
Yeah.
own countries,
Yeah.
and they're led out. And this immigrant is the one who's pregnant, and she says it herself, like, I'm an immigrant. How will they take it that an immigrant in their country is the one with a baby?
Yeah.
They'll make
the
it
hope
seem
for
like
the whole country.
it's the only hope for the entire
The
country.
world,
They'll
in
make
fact.
it seem like it's a British child instead
Yeah.
of being an immigrant's child, because they don't want that whole foreigner is the one who's
Yeah.
giving hope for that country. Yet foreigners also build your country
Yes.
too. You should embrace
Yes.
them.
There's the
So,
whole
but
Donald
man,
Trump
are we-
also. So it's
I
very
know.
relevant now. And again, another thing is, as far as filmmakers go and the stories they tell,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Inarito has been accused of being too self-indulgent in his stories. You know, he tries to bring his inner emotions, his perspective of the world. And I feel Cuarón did the exact same thing because he's also Mexican, and I'm sure he understands the plight of immigrants, Mexican
Yes.
immigrants. So what he did, what was very clever, was to actually get these themes that actually ring true for him as a filmmaker, and he actually wants to tell. But again, tell it in a very interesting, this genre, it's an apocalypse movie, and that's what I actually really liked. I feel as far as any of these films these three great directors have done, I feel that this might be the best one of all of them, of all the ones they've done. Iñárritu, Del Toro, and Cuarón. I feel this might be, from those Mexican directors, this might be the best one.
It's my best one.
Yeah, it's the best.
So
It's the best I've
so
done.
good. And Clive Owen, I have to say, Clive Owen, I don't like that man. Like,
not?
as in, this
Clive
is the
Owen is-
only film I like him in.
It's really good, by the way.
Weirdly, it's the only film I like him in. And I remember the first time I was
Don't you think he would have made a good James
Clive
Bond?
Owen. No,
You
I
don't
do
think?
not think he would have made a good James
Why
Bond
not?
whatsoever. He has James Bond has to be woman charming. I don't think he'd get
again,
that part. Yeah.
You begin to sound like those Idris Elba haters.
No,
You're saying it's too straight.
no.
Or,
Idris Elba is hard, but Clive Owen would have not worked as James. I don't like Clive Owen, but in this film, he's so good. What I like about him the most is the way in the beginning he's so out of it.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so bored
he's
of the whole
just
apocalypse
drifting.
thing.
He's
He's
just
like,
drifting through life.
he has clearly lost all hope, and you see that moment when he looks at the pregnant chick, and it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
real. He's so
He
good
gets-
in this
yeah, he
film,
gets hope.
and he's so out of it, but then they make him a hero.
Yeah.
And it's believable, and how they put his backstory
Yeah.
with Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
Another scene I have to talk about is the ambush scene
Yeah,
with
in
Julianne
the car.
Moore.
Shot in also
That
one
is
long take.
one of the jaw-dropping parts
Yeah.
of it.
It was
You feel
it's
like
very
you're in the
technically.
car.
It was shot as in the whole scene that actually makes seats that actually move out of the way of the camera. The camera could go through the windscreen. So there's a lot of complexity in shooting that scene. Yeah.
The way they use the camera
Yeah.
is so effective.
Yeah.
I love this movie so much. It's so good that it's just that moment when shit really, really gets real, and you feel it. Shit has
Yeah.
gotten real. You're unsure because there's not much exposition. They actually don't tell you the reason for all this infertility,
Yeah.
but this film is so good. What else do you have there that you wanted to talk about it?
That's when I talk about how this movie, despite it having some really jaw-dropping scenes and action sequences, really didn't do well at the box office,
It didn't.
which is a bit disappointing. Which again shows you kind of the whole way mainstream cinema also works. Because this movie had everything that I believe even the average moviegoer would want to see. It had an interesting story, great action. It was shot very
so
well.
intriguing.
Yeah, but still it didn't make that much money. Which again,
I know, and I like films that make you think. It really makes you think, like, what if this happened?
yeah,
It's just so good.
yeah.
Anything else?
I don't know. There's the Oscars that year. Quaron wasn't nominated, though Iñárritu was for Babel.
God.
And also Pan's Labyrinth also nominated. So it was like a good year for
For
these
the
Mexican,
three
the three of
amigos.
them that Quaron had Children of Men, Iñárritu had Babel, and Del Toro had actually his masterpiece, Pan's Labyrinth. In the
Pan's
same year.
Labyrinth. So I wanted to talk about one of the reasons why I would think would be a negative, not for me,
Yeah.
for another viewer,
Yeah.
which I would think someone would complain about.
Yeah.
I would think it would not be good for someone who just looks but doesn't see, because most of it is visual, don't you think? So if you
Yeah.
don't really see, the narrative could actually become boring for you.
Yeah. No, the thing is, a lot of people watch movies passively.
Yes.
Now you see we're pointing out things like symbolism. Not many people would actually pay attention to that. They'll just be along for the ride.
But even
Yet this movie is so rich in so many ways, from the detail in the cinematography, the symbolism in the movie, the way it was written, the characters and their different nuances. I feel the average moviegoer would probably not pay attention, but still this is the kind of movie which would actually keep them in their seats for the whole hour 45 minutes or so of the movie.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's sad.
Yeah, it's
It
sad.
makes me so sad.
Movies
What if you don't want
movies
to
aren't
be
supposed
sad?
to make you feel good about life.
Some movies make you feel happy,
Yeah.
like the movie I recommended, Sing Street.
Yeah.
It makes you so happy, but this is such a sad movie. It's such a, oh my god, like, oh, this is so sad. And the way it's set up, the whole production design is just so miserable.
Yeah.
You will see a miserable society.
That's another thing. Because remember when we did the review for Civil War Captain America, you were talking about how they didn't put too much effort into the cinematography. The thing looked like any other place.
Yep.
Same thing with Sharon of Men. Just because their thing was shot with this gritty documentary style, but it was shot using very authentic. This movie is actually sci-fi.
Yes, it is. Science
But
fiction.
it's sci-fi without, the kind of Jupiter sending visuals or Avengers or something like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
It's set in the world as it is right now and how everything has gone to shit. So I feel that's also a very big strength of art direction in a way, being able to tell a believable story of, say, a future in something that looks so contemporary. That's another strength of this movie.
This movie is so good.
Yeah.
I think it has to be a classic, really. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Watch this movie if you haven't seen it. I hope our explanation and our praise of it would get you to watch it if you haven't. We haven't spoiled so much. There's so much more to the film than anything we've talked about. There's a lot more. It's an intriguing film. Just, you have to see this film. It's such a must watch. Anyway, thanks for listening to our podcast. I'm Sharon.
And I'm Timothy.
You've been listening to Cinema Red Pill. If you've watched this film and agree or disagree with our views, email me at sharon@cinemaredpill.com. Check out my website, cinemaredpill.com. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening.